All right, welcome to Swish and Tell, where we cover top stories over the last week from thepeachbasket.net. Let's dive right in. So, with the All-Star game just around the corner, we've got our share of debates brewing, and none hotter than the Trae Young versus LaMelo Ball debate. Both guards plenty of flash, but very different cases for inclusion. Marcus, I know you've been keeping a close eye on this. What do you think tips the scale here?
Man, where do I even start? I mean, look, LaMelo's got that wow factor. The guy's dropping 28 points a game with ridiculous highlights, right? But but here's the thing, he's only played what, 32 games? You can't ignore that. Trae, on the other hand, yeah, he's not as efficient, but dude's out there grinding every night, 49 games and counting. Availability matters, Eric. It's like Bill Walton all over again. You can't be great from the bench.
That's a fair point. And when you look at the numbers, it's not just availability. Trey's contributing in other ways too. 11 assists per game stands out. But Marcus, here's where I'm torn. LaMelo's scoring efficiency, particularly when he's leading the Hornets on offense, does reflect a kind of dominance Trae hasn't always matched. Do you think that efficiency compensates for the fewer games?
Nah, not in this case. I mean, sure, Ball's got better scoring numbers, but what good are they if his team's not going anywhere? Like, the Hornets are second to last in the league, man. At least Trey's Hawks are fighting for a playoff spot. And, oh man, talk about historical parallels. Remember Iverson versus Marbury back in the day? AI carried his squad with all the inefficiencies in the world, but no one ever questioned he deserved his spot. Team success has always weighed heavy in these debates.
Exactly. And even though team performance isn't supposed to dictate all-star selections, it does seem to matter when voters and fans start splitting hairs. That said, Trey's shooting numbers, 40% from the field and 34 from three, aren't exactly stellar. Does that hurt his case at all, especially compared to some of the big-name snubs we've seen historically?
Maybe. But the funny thing is both Trey and LaMelo are kind of in the same boat there, chucking up shots but not exactly lighting up the box score with efficiency. Honestly, this feels more like a statement on how hard it's gotten to be a guard in this league. Everybody's a shooter now, you know? Back in like 2003, you had Iverson, Kobe, T-Mac. That was it. Now, forget it. And Trey's still hanging in there despite the numbers.
That's true, and that consistency is what coaches and analysts seem to value. But there's almost an irony here. We often praise a player's high peaks in limited stints, and LaMelo's got those. But in the same breath, we criticize someone like Trae for simply staying the course. It's like,
Like being too reliable hurts your case. Exactly, man. And don't even get me started on the whole flash versus fundamentals debate. LaMelo's got that playground style, while Trey's more methodical. It's like people forget this is a team game at the end of the day.
right, and that brings us full circle. It's fascinating to see an old story play out in new colors, this tug of war between individual excellence and team impact. It's almost like these debates are woven into the fabric of the league. And with the All-Star game on the horizon, the question remains, narrative or numbers? What wins out?
Man, let's be real. It's both. Always both. But I'm telling you, the league just loves that underdog grind, and right now, Trey's got that locked down.
Speaking of big decisions and their ripple effects, let's shift to trade drama. The Hornets rescinding the Mark Williams trade. It's caused quite the stir around the league. Marcus, what's your take on how this impacts Charlotte's roster and their long-term plans?
Man, talk about a curveball. You know what's wild? Williams was basically already out the door. Now they've got to find a way to make it work while showcasing him, what, for like a future trade market? It's like when you try to return a birthday gift and the place says, no refunds. You're stuck with it.
It does feel awkward, and for the Hornets, balancing Williams' development alongside Jusuf Nurkic now creates an interesting dilemma. They've essentially got a two-center rotation, which could work, but it also signals mixed messaging. Are they ready to rebuild, or are they hedging their bets?
Honestly, I think they're just throwing stuff at the wall at this point. The Hornets aren't exactly swimming in stability. And Nurkic, he's solid, don't get me wrong, but he's not the kind of upgrade that sets Charlotte on fire or anything. This move screams, we're clueless, man.
And then there's the Lakers. They're in scramble mode now, relying on Jackson Hayes as their only true center. It's a problem for a team eyeing a deep playoff run. Do you think the buyout market actually gives them a viable solution, or are they just grasping at straws here?
Oh, it's straws, no question. Like, Hayes is fine, but he's a youngin'. They need someone with playoff grit, someone who isn't flinching under the bright lights. Eric, you think there's a Dwight Howard 2.0 magic coming for them or what?
Well, probably not Dwight, but the buyout market isn't without options. And this is where strategic tools like trade simulations really shine. For the Lakers, it's about identifying pieces that fit their system while working within limited cap space. These tools let them weigh scenarios in real time. Who's a defensive anchor versus a stretch five?
See, that's cool and all, but simulations don't get you rebounds or block shots. Like, how much can fans get into this stuff when the real problem is they need somebody who can actually show up down low and make plays?
Exactly. And that's where technology overlaps with both team strategy and fan engagement. Whether you're a GM or just managing a fantasy league, seeing moves play out virtually, while thrilling, doesn't always translate to the court. In the Lakers' case, though, action in the buyout market may be the only way to stabilize the team fast enough.
Yeah, if fast enough means tomorrow. They're trying to climb a playoff mountain with worn out hiking boots right now. But hey, brighter moves could come, and at least they aren't completely stuck. I mean, right?
That's the hope. Teams like the Lakers know they're always judged on how they pivot in moments like these, not just by fans, but by their locker room dynamics, too. And with the playoff picture coming into sharper focus, every decision counts. Speaking of pivotal moments for teams, let's turn to De'Aaron Fox and his electrifying start in San Antonio. This guy has hit the ground running, 24 points and 13 assists in his debut, both records for a Spurs player's first game. Marcus, is this the kind of player who can redefine a franchise like the Spurs?
Oh, no doubt. Fox is fast. Like Blur on the court fast, man. He's exactly what they needed. A dude who doesn't just score but galvanizes everyone around him. You can already see Wembanyama getting better looks, Sochan stepping up. Fox is that dude, a difference maker.
It's true. And it's not just his speed. His ability to shift momentum, create plays, and balance their lineup, it's a domino effect for the entire roster. But the question is, can he carry this team into a serious playoff run in the powerhouse Western Conference?
Man, it'll be tough, no lies there. But the Spurs are scrappy right now. If anybody's got the motor to push him into contention, it's Fox. He's like a turbocharged engine. You just hope the rest of the parts hold up.
Speaking of engines, let's pivot to the Toronto Raptors and their surprising move, picking up Brandon Ingram. Marcus, a rebuilding team making a big trade like this, it's not exactly conventional. What's your take?
It's bold, no doubt, but I kind of like it. Ingram's a bucket, plain and simple. Toronto's got young guys like Scotty Barnes, and adding a proven scorer gives them versatility. I just hope this isn't a rental situation, you know? Fans hate seeing a guy walk after 1 year.
Exactly. And the criticism about his injury history isn't baseless either. Player availability has been a theme this episode, hasn't it? But when he's healthy, Ingram brings that mid-range game and three-point shooting to a Raptors team that desperately needs offensive juice.
Right. And his chemistry with Barnes could be huge, like picture Barnes driving, dishing to Ingram for a smooth jumper. It works on paper, but we gotta see it on the court to believe it.
And that's the gamble, isn't it? But let's round out with the blockbuster, Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. Marcus, is this desperation from Golden State, or is it just a genius move to bolster their championship hopes?
It's genius, mostly. Butler's a dog, man, a two-way beast. He's gonna bring that grit they've been missing. But here's my question. How does he mesh with Draymond's, let's say, fiery personality?
You're not alone in asking that. Butler's intensity could light a fire under this roster, or it could, to use your word, be combustible. But when you think about it, didn't Detroit roll similar dice back in 2004 with Chauncey Billups? Sometimes that gamble pays off in banners.
See, now you're talking. And don't forget, this trade isn't just about talent. It's about playoff moments. Butler's the kind of guy who turns games around in crunch time. If Golden State's banking on anything, it's that.
Absolutely. Between Fox transforming the Spurs, Ingram's fit in Toronto, and Butler's move to Golden State, we're seeing teams make bold plays for entirely different reasons. It's why these trades keep us on the edge of our seats every season. Well, Marcus, final thoughts?
Man, it's like a giant chessboard out there. Every move sets up the next one, and we haven't even hit the playoffs yet. I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
Neither can I. And with that, we wrap up this episode of Swish Tell. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, stay passionate and keep the game alive, on and off the court.